If you're looking for adventure this summer, escape with Marvel Comics. Fight crime with Spider-Man, meet the Fantastic Four, and watch Captain America in action. May the Force be with you as you battle the evil empire in Star Wars. Discover the secrets of the South American jungle in Raiders of the Lost Ark. And with Marvel Comics, you're never alone because they can go with you in the car or to the park, even on a rainy day. Marvel Comics are your ticket to fun and adventure this summer.
Ooh, my brother's comic! The Adventures of Castle Mill. Whoa! Spider-Man! It's Captain America! Silver Surfer! Whoa, She-Hulk!
Hey, twerp! You better not be in my... Mom, he's in my comics again! Marvel superhero sand, pills, and shovels. One included with every Castle Mill. Captain America, Silver Surfer, Spider-Man, and She-Hulk. You can collect a different one each week at White Castle.
Hey, what time is it? Well, it's Podblast! That's right, it's Podblast time. It's your weird, informative, hopefully fun, informative program of knowledge and fun. I'm your host, Chance Bartels. We are going to look at the new Fantastic Four movie. I got a brand new movie review for you, and I'm going to show you some comic books from my collection, that some of my favorite covers from the Fantastic Four original run, Fantastic Four Volume 1. Hey, the Fantastic Four started the Marvel Comics universe and the Marvel Age of Comics, as Stan Lee coined it, with the release of Fantastic Four issue number 1 on August 8th, 1961. Well, the new movie, all of my fears and things I was afraid of did not come true. I loved it. It was a good movie. I'm not going to spoil anything. No worries. We'll get into the movie review in just a bit. But the movie did open on July 25th, 2025 in cinemas in the US and Canada and around the world. And I want to play now a little 2-minute clip from the movie, and then we'll talk about it. And then we'll start looking at some comic books.
Famous around the world, please welcome the Fantastic Four. Mr. Fantastic. Invisible Woman, Human Torch.
I love you, Johnny!
And the Thing.
Hey, what time is it? Say the thing.
That's not really something I say.
It's clobbering time.
That's just in the cartoon. Never late for Sunday dinner. Let's eat.
Hey, what time is it?
It's dinner time. Get inside.
I herald his beginning. I herald your end. I herald Galactus.
What is that? Get us out of here, Ben! Hold on! Are we safe?
I don't know. The clock is ticking. We are going to find a solution. We are going to make it right.
You don't want to just crush him?
I like that. The four of us will face the danger. We will protect you.
Family. It's about connecting to something bigger than yourself. We'll face it together. As a family.
What time is it, Ben?
No.
What time is it, Ben?
No, Johnny.
Say it!
I don't wanna!
Say it!
And I'll just go ahead and say it. The MCU is back with this movie. It was fantastic. I want to show you some pictures of some things at the cinema I was in. Here is the IMAX movie poster. This is the AMC 24 Barrett Commons Cinema in Kennesaw, Georgia. And there I am next to that thing. And they also have the new Superman 2025 in IMAX at that particular theater. But I had just gone to the dentist, so this is the first time I think ever where I did not get popcorn or a drink at the movie theater, and I was just in heaven with the movie. I didn't miss the popcorn. You know, when you get your nice clean teeth, you don't want to mess them up too quickly. So, and I certainly don't want to crack a tooth on an unpopped popcorn kernel or something. But so what happened was I was late. I bought a ticket for 2:00. My dental appointment was at 12:45. And I get there, and one of the managers was nice enough to let me exchange my ticket for a 3:45 show with the Dolby Atmos sound. I didn't see the IMAX, but this is what the IMAX looks like. There's the hallway to the AMC IMAX at Barrett Commons 24. But check out this cool display that they had right there in the center of the movie theater, right before the Dolby Atmos. That was the screen I went and saw the film at. I think that's pretty cool. There's that. And what can I say? I thought the music was good. I don't want to give anything away. I think people want to compare this to Superman. I say I can have my cake and eat it too. I like both. I see nothing wrong with either film. I enjoyed Superman 2025. I enjoyed this one too. I will say this one has like a bigger story, if that makes sense. Once you see it, if you're into comic books, you'll know what I mean. It doesn't have too much of the Herbie robot. That was one of my concerns too. And there's just enough, and it's not an annoying character. It's not like a Jar Jar Binks character, like in Star Wars Episode 1 from 1999. Nothing like that. I did notice a couple little mistakes, nothing too drastic, but I love the new Silver Surfer. There was a lot of criticism about Norrin Radd, the male Silver Surfer in Volume 1 of the Silver Surfer and Volume 2 of the comic book Silver Surfer, that they made him female. Well, this is the love of his life, who's Silver Surfer in this movie, Shala Ball. And the sound is incredible that when she speaks, there's a cool echo. And like you heard in that trailer, in that clip I played, but with that Dolby Atmos sound, it sounds really, really, really cool when this person speaks and with the music. And I think there's a lot that everyone can relate to in this movie. It's not divisive in any way. It's a real unifying movie. One of my minor complaints pertains to the very first villain in the Fantastic Four. This is not a spoiler. Maybe it's a minor spoiler, but anyone that watched Disney Plus, there's a preview that is on Disney Plus for this movie, a good long preview. They actually show a good chunk of the movie towards the beginning of the film, and they did a 1-hour live stream for the world premiere of Fantastic Four. And I'm going to watch I watched the first couple of minutes of the live stream. I'm like, I'm going to wait till I see this before I finish watching it. But All right, I'll just tell you, because if you saw that, you know that this character is in the movie. Minor character, the Mole Man. This was the first villain in Fantastic Four issue 1 from August 8th, 1961. My minor quip is it's established in the comic books that he can't handle the light, and he has these glasses, which he has in the film. But at one point in the movie, he's inside, I won't say where, I guess that would be kind of a spoiler, but he's inside a building. And he takes his glasses off, no problem, no strain, no pain. It's not really explained unless there's a deleted scene. That's just the comic book source material geek in me that has that minor complaint, because he should have been like, it was established. That's why he burrowed underground, the Mole Man. So I thought that was, and then the other thing was, okay, there's a giant creature, Galactus, who was introduced way back in 1965 and 1966 by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. And he's a creature that can devour planets. And he's about, 50 to 100 feet tall. Very, very tall. Well, he happens to speak English. That's kind of a minor quibble of mine with all sorts of science fiction television shows and movies, That's what I liked about Star Trek. They had a universal translator, like when Kirk fought the Gorn in the Arena episode, season 1, the original show. But, and also, Shalabal was talking to Galactus in a scene, and she refers to a baby. And I thought, baby, that is a very English human term. That's not something I think would be known in the cosmos and in the universe. So anyway, very minor thing. I had to get that out of the way. I give this movie out of 5 stars, a 4, a solid 4, maybe even a 4.5. If I see it again, I'll probably tilt towards 4.5, but, highly entertaining. It's not too long. It's just under 2 hours in length. So it has the proper length, has a good story. And I like that it's set as a period piece in the early to mid 1960s. And there is one post-credit scene that had the theater screaming with anticipation and joy. And I'll leave it at that. So you got to stick around. But it's early on in the end credits. And I was surprised to see that they shot some of it in Hawaii. At least they did a lot of the post-production work in Hawaii. There's a nice credit for Hawaii. They shot in Los Angeles as well as in London, England, at Pinewood Studios and other places. So a very entertaining movie. Now to the comic books, because I'm afraid the more I talk, the more I'll give something away. But the acting was absolutely terrific. And I've said this before. I interviewed Marta Kristen, who played Judy Robinson in the original Lost in Space 1960 show, face-to-face last April 2025 at Stellar Fest convention. I got a press pass, and I was invited from the owners of that convention, Chris and his wife Angela, to interview some of the celebrity guests backstage, and that was awesome. And I said to her, have you ever heard of the Fantastic Four? She goes, no. I said, well, it's a new movie. It's destined to be a blockbuster this summer. And there's a character named Sue Storm Richards, the Invisible Woman, originally called the Invisible Girl. John Byrne in 1982 changed that, and it said, you know what? It's kind of dated to call her girl. She's given birth to babies. I'm going to change her name to the Invisible Woman, which he did in 1982. I'll show you that issue in a little while. But I thought the acting, she did a fantastic job. And ironically, the actress's last name is Kirby, like Jack Kirby. Stan Lee and Jack Kirby created the Fantastic Four in the early 1960s. At that time, monster books were hot, war books were hot, and Western comic books were hot, and romance comic books were hot. And they tried their hand at superheroes. This is before Spider-Man. This is before Marvel's interpretation of the Norse god Thor, god of thunder. And so it was a big hit. And I think it was timing. The cover date was November 1961. It really irritates me when these official documentaries on network television say in November 1961, pop culture history changed forever with the debut of the Fantastic Four on comic book stands across the U.S. No. That's always 3 months ahead for circulation purposes. It's like an expiration date, if you will, that lets the person that stocks the shelves and the spinner racks know, oops, it's time to remove this book and replace it with issue 2 or whatever the next issue is. Or they would leave. I remember they would leave the first couple months, sometimes 3 months on the rack, and then they would replenish the comic book supply. But yeah, so in August of 61, you have the dog days of summer. It's a month after the 4th of July, not much going on. So that's why I think it sold so well way back then. And plus, these were really compelling characters. And one of the characters, of course, is a monster. The Thing, Ben Grimm. That's his alter ego. He was kind of a jock that became originally a pile of mud, and then as the series evolved, he became kind of a pile of rocks, and that's the way he looks in the movie. And his look is awesome in the movie. It looks just like the comic books brought to life. They did a fantastic job with the special effects and with the costumes and everything. So, I didn't finish my thought about Marta Kristen. So Marta Kristen, I said, you never heard of Fantastic Four? Well, there's a character, Sue Storm, and this is set in the 1960s. How perfect would it be? And I wish I had the power to cast you as the modern day Sue Storm in some sort of scene that takes place in the present day, if there were to be one in a sequel. And she goes, really? I said, yeah. I said, you have the look, and her voice is similar to Mrs. Kirby, the actress who plays the current Sue Storm in the 1960s. So I think you're going to like it. It's not got anything that will turn anyone off. I thought it was a fantastic film. Now let's talk about the comic books. And yes, I do know there was a big loss, a couple losses. Hulk Hogan died. I'll get to that later. I'm not going to go too long. This will be my show of the week because I've got to work tomorrow. And who knows when I'll get home. So from the set. So I'm just going to keep this kind of short. And then a singer, a trumpet star who was in King of the Hill died today too. Chuck, we'll talk about it, but let's stay focused about the Fantastic Four comic books that the new movie, of course, is based on. And I'm going to show you, I've pulled some of my favorite covers. Let's start with this annual 6. This introduced Franklin Richards. Now, I don't know if this is a spoiler or not, but the movie is called Fantastic Four First Steps, so that might indicate that there's a baby. I already mentioned the use of the word baby between Galactus and this version of the Silver Surfer in this universe. But this is the issue that introduced the character of Franklin, released on August 13th, 1968. And I opened it up for you. This is my copy from my collection. And there's the panel where Franklin is born at the very end of the story. Anyone that's listening, I don't know if I'm going to put this on my audio platforms or not, because this is going to be a very visual live stream where I show you some comic book art. But there is my copy of Annual 6. It's in really nice condition. With these hardbound, these are like double-sized, king-sized issues, these annuals, there would typically be spine splits because of the way they're bound, like with a glue instead of with staples. They did have staples inside, but there's a glue on the spine. And luckily mine did not suffer from spine splits. But there is the birth of Franklin. So that's one copy I wanted to show you. Here's some other stuff you can look forward to in the movie. Flash forward to issue 242. And this is from March 9th, 1982. This is when this comic book hit the spinner racks and the comic book shop shelves. That's a comic book shop direct copies you see. It doesn't have a UPC symbol. It has Spider-Man's head in the lower left corner of the cover. Now inside, there's a shot, there's a moment where Galactus stumbles and crashes into a building. That's in the movie. That's not a spoiler. That's not really a spoiler, but I just want you to know I love the nods to the source material. And there was a lot of it. They didn't really deviate much aside from Silver Surfer being female. There wasn't much deviation. So I was glad about that. All right. So there's that issue for my collection. Here's another one of my absolute favorite covers. This is from September 18th, 1973. And this caused, in this storyline, this caused a lot of friction between Reed Richards, who is the guy who stretches, and he's one of the most brilliant minds in the Marvel Comics universe. He's an inventor, and they named their son Franklin, I assume, after Benjamin Franklin, the great inventor. Let me change my camera shot for a sec. But I just love the pathos in that cover. And they had a fight that lasted for many months. They almost got a divorce over what happens in this issue to Franklin, something that the dad does to subdue the powers of this child. And I just love that cover. Okay, there we go. So now you can see my fat face. All right, so look at what she's saying. He's glowing like an atomic bomb. I'm not saying that's in the movie or not. See the movie and find out. But Franklin is in the film. There you go. So there's that. And I'm going to now just show you some more covers from my collection that I like a lot. So let me take this off.
of the screen. Before I do that, let me see. I want to say hey to Esmeralda in Washington State. She says, I love comic book art. And Kay Moonen says, yep, Chuck Mangione died. Yep, we'll talk about him later. And Esmeralda says, I do hate having to read during a movie since reading dialogue takes away from being able to enjoy the scenes. Yes, this is not, unless you're in closed captioned. What I showed you was a Canadian trailer with I think, French subtitles. The movie doesn't have any of that, just so you know. Kay Moonen said the first villain should have been Dr. Doom. Galactus should have come later in the film. Yeah, that's what you think? Okay. He said, I'm not a fan of Norrin Radd being fully replaced with a girl surfer. I wasn't either. That was my knee-jerk reaction to that when I learned about it. But now that I've seen it, it absolutely works. And I don't want to give any more away than that. But just the female element. And also there was some BS from fanboys and fan haters, more like, saying that, oh, this movie's just about girl power. Sue Storm is like the leader of the Fantastic Four in this movie. It's about her and the female Silver Surfer. It's not. That is also hogwash, just like with Superman Returns. People were complaining that it's got politics in it. No, it did not. It absolutely did not. And there was none of that in this movie. It completely works. And you know what? I'm not gonna speak to the Doctor Doom aspect. All I know is Marvel, this MCU, I think they've regrouped and really put their heads together, and they know what they're doing, because Doom will be in the next Avengers movie, and I can't say any more than that. Esmeralda says, I hate Dennis. Yeah, I got a good checkup, thank goodness. Got my toots all clean, my teeth. Came in and says, too bad they really don't advertise comics anymore. I know, and that commercial I played at the very beginning of this stream, that's a pretty cool, rare thing from 1981. I've never seen it before or since. And hey to you, Esmeralda, again. So there we are. Now, I know Sarah is live right now with her carnival stream that she does some Thursday nights with my fellow friends. So I don't know if they'll be interested in what I'm talking about tonight. But let's get to the comic books. I said that like 5 minutes ago. I'm going to show you some books. Let's see here. I got a switch. StreamYard has changed their whole format, and it's got me all mixed up. So I'm going to change my camera shot so you can see these comic books a lot better. There we go. And let me make sure that my audio is right. It's not. Those
okay. Those God blessed sons of bitches defaulted my microphone at StreamYard to my computer. That really pisses me off. Okay, but I'm going to put on my happy face. That really pisses me off when they do that at StreamYard. But they did. So it was muffled for a while there. Apologize. I'm sitting there holding my mic and it's not even on. So let's look at some comic books. Some Fantastic Four comics. Some of my favorite covers. I love this one. I have a graded copy of this. I love anything with aliens and spaceships. That's one of my favorite covers. Wanted, Dead or Alive. And that's when the Invisible Girl had sort of a beehive hairdo, which was common for 1962 when this comic book was released, issue 7 of the Fantastic Four. And see, she was called the Invisible Girl until 1982. From 61 until 1982, she was the Invisible Girl, not the Invisible Woman. But that's kind of a similar hairstyle to Judy Robinson in Lost in Space, played by Marta Kristen, whom I mentioned earlier. But there's that. I love the realism in Marvel Comics. They're getting evicted from the Baxter Building in the heart of Manhattan. And now there was another love interest for Susan Storm, and that's the Submariner, who is Marvel's answer to Aquaman, although he was actually on the scene before Aquaman, believe it or not, and it's true. And that's Prince Namor, the Submariner, and he had the hots for Sue Storm, but Sue was sometimes tempted by him, but she was loyal to Reed Richards. That was before they got married. They didn't get married until Fantastic Four Annual 3. I'll show you that comic in a little while. So she's still single, but she's involved with Mr. Fantastic. And in case you don't know, the powers, her brother, Susan Storm's brother, is Johnny Storm, and he's the Human Torch. And he also appeared at this time in Strange Tales comic books. In half of those books, they had half and half with Strange Tales in those days. But Reed Richards can stretch, of course, and he's got a brilliant mind. And there's a cameo in art form of Jack Kirby and Stan Lee, which I think is really cool. And the Invisible Woman, at first, she could just turn invisible. And then the fans wrote into Marvel Comics and said, that's not a very good asset to the team. So then they had in the storyline Stan Lee, with Jack Kirby's help with the art, they had it where she can hurl force fields, which she does in this movie. And that was something that came along in the early issues of the Fantastic Four. Her having the ability not just to turn objects and herself invisible, but to hurl these force fields and to have a protective dome over someone she wants to protect from harm. And then, of course, the Thing has brute strength like the Incredible Hulk, and they fought a lot. Let me just get to some other covers. This is a villain whom is referenced in the movie, the Thinker, the Mad Thinker. And I like any cover that had a use of yellow, even though yellow is the color of a coward. I'm a Southerner, but so I don't really like yellow, but I like it on comic books. I think it looks cool. It makes the book pop, especially with the red dialogue balloons. Doesn't that look cool? Yeah, this is going to be very visual, this show. Let me see. Let me skip ahead. I like this character, the Molecule Man, who was a little meek guy that got this wand that gave him power. He's a villain. And anyway, he has like kind of a jagged looking face. It's almost like the jigsaw puzzle. And then this is the Hate Monger. And spoiler alert, under that hood is the clone of Adolf Hitler. Go on ahead. That is the Mole Man, by the way, who is in the film that I talked about earlier. That's the Mole Man. I like this cover because it's a partial photo cover. Issue 33 of the Fantastic Four with the Submariner. I think that's the first or second appearance of Atuma, an undersea villain. But I just love that art, that combination of photograph and artwork. Let's see. Here was an interesting team of villains, the Frightful Four, that took on the Fantastic Four. You had the Sandman, who was a Spider-Man villain, and you had Medusa and Paste Pot Pete. He's zapping the Thing there with his device. And I love that cover. I think it's just a nice use of color. It really pops. Use of purple there. Behold, a distant star. Dr. Doom cover. He was always hovering about. You'll see. I'll pull every Dr. Doom where he's doing this. I think this is the first one where he seems to be like a giant hovering over everybody. They did that a lot in the Fantastic Four. I like these covers. There were a few months where it said Marvel Pop Art Productions. I love that. Lo, there shall be an ending. Cover. Let me just jet on ahead. First appearance of the Inhumans, and that's a Marvel pop art cover. Among Us hide the Inhumans, which included their leader Black Bolt. There's Black Bolt. Here's the first appearance of Galactus in issue 48 and the first appearance of the Silver Surfer, a very, very desired comic book and very valuable comic book. Here's a good shot of the Silver Surfer from issue 50 of the Fantastic Four, and Johnny Storm goes to college, the Human Torch in college. And now, another minor gripe about the film while I'm thinking about it. In the comic books, the Human Torch and the Thing would bicker and fight a lot. And that didn't really happen in the movie. This is not a spoiler. I'm just saying it didn't happen a lot. Now, they had some funny banter and funny dialogue, but there'd be some really funny battles where they would use their powers to get one up on each other. You know, the Thing with his brute strength, and then the Human Torch would do something funny, like hurl a fireball at an ice cream that the Thing Ben Grimm was eating or something and melt it. You know, there was funny banter, and sometimes they got pretty serious in their bouts with each other. That's not in the new movie. Not to say it won't be in a sequel. And that's okay. You know, there was a little bit of comic relief, a good balance between comic relief and straight drama, but the further it goes, the more serious it gets. And there's like, you know, world ending complications because Galactus devours planets. And his sound and what they do with his eyes, it's really cool with the use of the sound, especially in that Dolby Atmos. I don't know how to describe it. You just have to see it for yourself in the theater, preferably. I like this cover, This Man, This Monster, issue 51 of the Fantastic Four. Check this out, Esmeralda. Look at the light, the use of light in this issue here, 53 Fantastic Four. The Silver Surfer returned in issue 55 to battle the Thing. And actually, he's after his girlfriend. Okay, here's another thing. Speaking of girlfriend, there is a woman that Ben Grimm, the Thing, seems to be infatuated with or interested in this movie, but I don't think it's Alicia Masters. You will not see Alicia Masters in this movie. She is the blind woman that has a romantic relationship with Ben Grimm, the Thing. And the irony is she likes the monster thing. There were several times when Reed Richards experimented on Ben Grimm to revert him back to human form from being a rock monster. He yearned to be human again. And whenever that would happen, and she'd feel his face, you know, in his mind, he said he always thought that she only loved the monster, not the man. You know, that was like his hang up with Alicia Masters. And Alicia Masters was the daughter of a supervillain, the Puppet Master. I got to find that copy to show you the first appearance in issue 8 of the Fantastic Four. Let me just see. Oh, I love this cover. I've shown this one before. A good Dr. Doom cover. Great condition. Great use of the color purple. And the Silver Surfer's in it, as you can see. Man, were those effects cool in the movie with the Silver Surfer on that board. Oh, my God. It blew me away. I'm going to see it again with Al Hardy maybe this Saturday, and then we can review it on his platform. I don't know. So it's fun to bounce off somebody, you know, kind of boring. I'll be honest, kind of boring to just listen to someone talk about a movie by themselves. And here's issue 58. My buddy Danny, friend of the show. First person I know that said that. But now everyone's saying friend of the show. But I said it years ago. But he is. Danny Cochran, Kraken's Lair Comics YouTube channel has a double cover of this issue in mint condition. It has 2 covers. You open it up and there's 2. It's a common, not so common printing error with comic books. I have several double covers in my collection, but I love that cover. Jack Kirby was just incredible. Jack Kirby's art. Oh, it's just the best. I love that cover with the use of yellow Doomsday. Keep going here. I don't want to show all of them because I'll be here forever, but there's just so many. It's like I can't just pick a few. I've got almost the whole run, but there's issue 60, Doom versus the Thing. I think that's pretty effing cool. Sandman. Remember the wrestler Sandman, Extreme Championship Wrestling in 1998? He was awesome. He'd crush a can of beer over his head. And of course, we lost Hulk Hogan. Speaking of wrestling, talk about that later. I got a clip I want to share of him that's pretty funny. Okay, here is Alicia Masters that I referenced a while ago. The girlfriend of Ben Grimm, the Thing. What lurks behind the beehive? The mystery of the year. Well, I'll tell you. Here's the next issue of that cocoon. And it's Adam Warlock. They called him in the beginning. But he emerges from the cocoon. He's like this bronze, good-looking alien. A good alien, thankfully. And he took on Thor. He often would try to, just like Silver Surfer, try to steal some other guy's girl. And that's what Adam Warlock was doing with Alicia Masters. I promise I'm not going to show all these covers, but I like this one too, where the Thing is on a rampage. He's running wild. They got to restrain him somehow. There's part 2, top of that building, Raising Hell, by Ben Betrayed. Skip ahead. Okay, anytime I see the Silver Surfer, I'm going to stop. Or Galactus, but I showed this before in every issue ever made of Silver Surfer Volume 1. I have them all. And I showed some of the key Fantastic Four Silver Surfer issues, including this one. If you want to check it out, just go to the Nostalgic Podblast YouTube channel, hit the live tab, and look for 3 covers of the Silver Surfer as the thumbnail. And then you'll know you're in the right place. And I took photos of everything. It wasn't like me just holding up a cover. I took photos of like every issue, every cover, and some of the interior shots too. I love that book, that cover there. Anytime there's like a superhero on superhero battle, I'm all about that, especially if it's a crossover. And you know what? With James Gunn at the helm at the new DCU, it wouldn't surprise me if we see a crossover movie. Tom Williams predicted that years ago. He said, I think they're going to do a crossover. I said, nah. In comic books, they did, like Superman versus the Amazing Spider-Man. That's hardly a fair fight. Superman mopped the floor over that bug, crush him like a spider, literally, blood everywhere. But yeah, they would do that a lot. And they did the new Teen Titans and the X-Men, the Hulk versus Batman, another very unfair fight. So it's happened in print. Could it happen on the big screen? Stay tuned. You never know. And I don't know anything. I'm just speculating. I think it's highly possible that the first time in our lifetimes, hang in there, don't die, because you're going to want to hang around and see the big movie crossover. Should it happen? I love this cover too. This really reminds me of the movie that I just saw. And that's not a spoiler. I'm not saying it has anything to do with the movie. It just does, because you got heavy Silver Surfer, heavy Galactus in the new movie. And it's just a great cover. Another great cover I have shown before, but look at that rich red. Fantastic Four issue 75. And again, it's Galactus and the Silver Surfer. I thought, how are they going to pull off a live action Galactus without it looking hokey? They did it. Does not look hokey, does not look fake. It looks cool. It's Thanos-like, but I think cooler than Thanos. Played by Josh Brolin on the big screen. All right. This is when I think Sue Storm was pregnant with Franklin. Look at that issue. Isn't that a cool cover? And there's our boy Galactus again. Shall Earth endure? That's the big question in the new movie. You got to see it on the big screen. I always wondered, I want to tell you this story. There's a radio show I listened to, and there's like a movie critic who I'm not terribly fond of. And this guy says, I don't know why they're making another Fantastic Four movie. It's been done before, but he failed to mention this is the first time that Disney has had the rights to the Fantastic Four, because they bought the 20th Century Fox film and television library, and Fantastic Four was a Fox property, as was the X-Men. So, of course, it's a game changer having the MCU, the Marvel Comics universe, with an official take on the Fantastic Four. That movie critic really missed the boat. He didn't know what he was talking about in that one. Now let me just skip ahead in the interest of time to some other issues of my favorite covers of the Fantastic Four. Okay, here's another one where Doom is larger than life, hovering over everybody like he's a giant. And that's issue number 84 of the Fantastic Four. And here's another one, larger than life Doom, just a few issues later in issue 86, 2 issues later, in fact. I just think that's interesting. All right, let's see. Going to show you this one because I love spaceships. A House There Was. Ooh, I got a little torn corner there. I got to replace this one. I didn't notice that, but I love the artwork. Other than that, it's a nice shape. Key book, issue 94, introduced Agatha Harkness. She was Franklin's governess. And of course, they made her young. They made her play by Han, the actress Han, in the Disney Plus series. But this was the first appearance of that character in comic book form. She's an old lady. Well, elderly woman with gray hair in the comic books. So this is after Franklin's born. Monster from the Lost Lagoon. They just have a nice little picnic on the beach. But look what's behind them. A monster. Issue number 100. Amazing Spider-Man issue 100 is much better, I think. It showed like the faces of all the villains up to that point on the cover with Spidey in front of them. All right, there was an artist named John Romita Sr. He was a Spider-Man artist. He took over with issue 39 of The Amazing Spider-Man. He had a brief run as the artist of the Fantastic Four in between Jack Kirby leaving for DC Comics, the competitor of Marvel Comics, in a dispute with Stan Lee, and John Buscema. But you had John Romita, and I like his artwork. And some guy online was complaining about his run. I like his run of the Fantastic Four. Anyway. Let me skip ahead. See, here's another John Romita Sr. cover, and he did the inside art in most of these issues. Exposed at last, the monster secret. Now, the special effects of Reed Richards stretching is really well done in the movie, by the way. Now, there's an example of Ben Grimm transforming back into the monster after he was cured. It must happen. It must. And now the Thing. Anyway, I love that cover. I love this character. He's introduced in Annual 6, when Franklin was born. I showed a while ago. Annihilus. He's from the Negative Zone universe. And he's just like, is he an alien? Yes, but look at his armor. It made me wonder if he's a robot or an alien, just like Darth Vader. When Darth Vader first blasted onto motion picture screens in May of 1977 and June of 77 in wide release, I remember my dad thought he was a robot. A lot of people did. You didn't know. And it turns out he was part man, part machine. Hulk versus Thing. I got to find issue 12. I love anytime these two fought. It was always an epic battle. And, you know, people that don't know comic books, that are like novices, they think of it as being written for children, like a cartoon show, Saturday morning cartoon show. No. In fact, I've said this before. I'll say it again. Back in the 1960s, when these books were first getting red hot with popularity, it was mostly college students and Vietnam War soldiers that were buying the books. Adults, young adults. They were written on an adult level. Real problems financially. Characters like Peter Parker always struggling to make ends meet and, have a love life and all that sort of stuff. So people related to that. Here is this month only. They had a double-sized. Everything that month was double-sized, 25-cent issue. You know why? It's because the price was going up from. It went from 12 cents to 15 cents to 20 cents, and before it went from 15 to 20, they did a double-sized to 25, so it wouldn't be so jarring when they went to 20 cents. Does that make sense? It was 15 cents, and it was going up a nickel. But in between that, they had these double-sized issues, and I like this one. This is when they had the square. They're for a little while, like the 1971, 72, 73, they had these covers that were squared off like that, where you had like a border underneath the logo. Okay, here's a Silver Surfer cover. that I like. And I like the logo. They changed the logo. Little trivia. What was the first issue of the Fantastic Four that boasted that the Fantastic Four is the world's greatest comic magazine? It wasn't on every issue, but it's on most of them. Anybody know in the chat? Don't Google cheat. What was the first issue that boasted that the Fantastic Four is the world's greatest comic magazine? Let me know. But I love that cover. Galactus is back. He's terrorizing a roller coaster this time. Galactus Unleashed. All right. Here you have a president on the cover, Tricky Dick, Richard Nixon. His real likeness, unlike DC Comics where they would have a facsimile for a president. No, Marvel had real cities. It wasn't Gotham City. It wasn't Metropolis. It was New York City all the way, or Manhattan. There was a realism to Marvel Comics that you didn't find in Brand X. And actually, DC wasn't Brand X. They were really the originators of the superhero with Action Comics #1 way back in 1938. That was the first comic book superhero, Superman. But there's Richard Nixon on the cover there. I need to change these bags. I skipped over a couple of monsters. I said I would show you the monsters. Shame on me. I'm just trying to hurry this along because there's so many issues I want to show you. Return of the Monster from the Picnic. Monster. This is the creature from Fantastic Four issue #1 from August 8th of 1961. The Mole Man's monster. But there's the creature from the Earth's core. And that's from issue 126 of the Fantastic Four. I bought this at Great Escape Comics for $6 in Marietta, Georgia. That comic book shop opened in the year 1993, and the owner sold it last year in 2024, or was it 2023? Either 2023 or 2024 to a customer, a female customer. But there you go. And there's the Mole Man, who has a very minor role in the new movie, Fantastic Four First Steps. The Thing fights alone. I want to open this up and show you something in this comic. This is 128, Divided We Fall. I buy this every chance I get. This is my mint copy. Let me show you this one. This one is not quite mint, but let me show you something on the inside of this book not many people know about. Oh, this one's still in nice shape. Listen to it. Sounds like a whirlybird helicopter. But if you open this up, check it out, man. There's like a nice slick insert. Sometimes it'd be removed. I make sure it's intact before I buy the book. But look at that. The Fabulous FF's Friends and Foes, starting with Dr. Doom, the Mole Man. You open it up. Look at that. I love the artwork. And it just looks so cool. Let me take this thing off the screen, my name, so you can see all the stuff better. But I love that. And this book is very affordable. Very affordable. People always want like something that's called the Marx Jewelers insert. And that means the comic book was sold on a military base. So they would put literally a slick insert like this selling jewelry, ostensibly to tap into the market of soldiers that are going to propose to young ladies and get married. So they would put a Marx. This to me is much better than a Marx Jewelers insert. But there's a page showing the friends of the Fantastic Four. So that's in issue 128. And anytime you're at a comic book show or something, or on eBay or wherever, Instagram sale, grab this book. Seeing it on a stream doesn't do it justice. It's really cool. Jumping way ahead here. I should have shown you his first appearance back in issue 30. I have it, but that's Dragon Man, who's a monster. hang on, I'm going to take this off the screen. My name, how do I do that? Let me see here. Hang on. Oh, shoot. Hell, I don't know how to do it right now. More Dragon Man. Let me just get to... Love this cover. Love the character. I already talked about him. First introduced in Fantastic Four Annual 6 when Franklin was born, a nihilist. But I don't know. That cover always pops to me. I love the use of red. It's just bad to the bone, I think. Now, the very dramatic. I showed this. I have a picture of it, of this very copy. I love this storyline where Franklin, something's going wrong with their son Franklin with his power cosmic. He's glowing like an atomic bomb, and it caused a serious rift between the parents, Susan Storm Richards and Reed Richards, because of what he does to his own son to power him down. I don't want to spoil it, but that's a really good issue and good storyline. Dr. Doom cover, issue 143. $144, Dr. Doom. You see like a little bit of them there. There's so many like villain. I don't want to ruin it. If you haven't seen the piece on Disney Plus, the preview of Fantastic Four, I don't want to ruin it, but you see a lot of the villains of the Fantastic Four in like little cameos. It's really cool how they did that in the movie. I'm not saying it's this one. I'm just saying it's made me think of one of them. All right, there's Prince Namor again. I like this costume. He didn't have the green Speedo anymore for a while. He had kind of a cool outfit with like these wings under his arms. Reminded me of the webbing under Spider-Man's arms in the early Steve Ditko issues of The Amazing Spider-Man from 1962 to 64-ish, 65-ish, when the underarm webbing was so prominent. But I like that costume. More monsters. Let me just figure out. Let me say hey to the chat, take a break. Here's issue 150. I am skipping ahead. This isn't every issue ever made. I do a feature every issue ever made. It'd take too long. I'm just showing you some of my favorite covers of the Fantastic Four. There's Ultron. This is a wedding issue. Some major characters get married in this issue. It's not Reed Richards and Susan Storm. It's Crystal. And hang on a second. It's the Inhuman characters. Now let me look at the chat and see what's up. So when I do that, I like to say, hey, this way.
You have a good day today, friends. Yeah. I did.
I had a Superman day.
You had a Superman day. Well, I'm glad to hear that.
Spider-Man day.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. Well, you know what? Wait. You know what time it is? It's time for me to see the friends at home in the magic mirror. Romper bumper, stomper boo. Tell me, do. Magic mirror. Tell me today, did all my friends have fun at play? All my friends had fun today. I see David's having a special day today, and Olivia Joy had a special day on Sunday, and I see Robin had a special day yesterday, and Dana's having a special day today, and so is Reginald and Edward John and Margaret, and I see Justin and Megan and Courtney and Brick and Mark and Rachel and Sheila and Caroline are all having special days, and Cicely and Ashley and Matthew and Jose, and I see Bonnie and Anthony and Joe had special days yesterday, and so did Tammy and Brandon and Gregory, and of course, friends, you know I see you, and I'll see you again.
Hey, everybody. I want to say hey to My Flock is Everywhere, Southern California. Sarah, thank you, Sarah. And Kay Moonen had pointed out a while back, they did a crossover with Superman and the Silver Surfer as well. Yes, they did. You know your stuff. I like that. That's a great cover, number 84. Yeah, with Dr. Doom hovering. Yeah, in Latvia. That's his. Now, that's the one time I think they had a fictional town in the Marvel Comics universe, in the comic books, where they didn't have a real town. And that's where Dr. Doom is from. Victor Von Doom. All right, let's see here. Came in and said that clearly that was a play on Creature from the Black Lagoon. Yeah, that picnic monster coming out of the, yeah. Hey to Lady Pop Hunter, and she is the better half, I like to jokingly say, of Open by Chance Toys YouTube channel. And they were at Atlanta Comic Convention last weekend, as was I. And they shot a really nice video on Friday, the first day of that show. So it makes you feel like you're there. And Lady Pop Hunter is her channel. So subscribe to Lady Pop Hunter. If any of my power mods are in the house, I know Sarah is. If you could drop her link, I'd really appreciate it, so she can boost her subscriptions. And Open by Chance, you don't have to link them unless you want to. I mean, I'd really like to link hers because they don't need any help at Open by Chance. They're doing just fine, and that's good. But and that's where K Moonin came from. So hey to you. I don't know if you're still watching or not. I'm behind on the comments. Real nice to see you in the house, Lady Pop Hunter. And let's see here. I really appreciate y'all dropping her link, and Sarah, drop your link too to your own channel. Larry, you just did good. Let's see here. I'm sure everyone heard the sad news about Hulk Hogan. Yes, why don't we take a break and talk about that? I have a clip to play. If you're still there. Yeah, I did. I have a vintage clip I want to play of the Hulkster, and I really liked him a lot in Rocky 3. He had a role in there as an adversary for Rocky Balboa. And what can you say? I mean, it's sad. I mean, they had a hard life, these guys. Unfortunately, steroid use was rampant before really anyone knew the dangers of using steroids. I'm not saying he was on them. I think he said so himself, though, and that's why he lost his hair really badly. But yeah, it's tough, And then I really liked Feels So Good. Chuck Mangione died as well. I loved his little cameo in King of the Hill. But let's look at a 2-minute clip of Hulk Hogan doing a classic promotion of a wrestling bout. Real dramatic stuff. A lot of energy. I love that. Rest in peace, Hulk Hogan. Let's watch.
I just got done saying my prayers, man, and I just got ready to start hanging and banging. And when I started to squeeze the bar, brother, when I started to pump the 24-inch pythons, man, yes, I did feel the pain, Yes, I did feel the separation in the lower ribs, the small muscles of the lower back, And when I felt that pain, man, all it did was drive me on, made me train harder. Because King Kong Bundy, Mastermind Magnificent Morocco, and the henchman Bobby Heenan, they set me up, brother. And I live this thing every day, man. Yes, I live with the pain, man. I can handle it, though, because I got a chairman of the board, let's say. My main man, Mr. T right here, the chairman of the board of the Hulk Hogan Battle Creed of Ethics.
That's right, brother, that's right.
The first thing on the agenda says, never surrender.
Never. Tell him, man, tell him.
The second thing says, even if your body says no, your spirit always will.
Tell them, they don't hear you.
The last thing is, when everything's on the line and all those Hulkamaniacs are waiting for you, whether you're busted from head to toe, if you got one good hand left, brother, you crawl towards that ring with everything you've got. You climb in that steel cage. And then King Kong Bundy, if you want the gold, brother, if you feel like selling your soul, then try to beat me, man.
That's right.
Try to beat me down in the center of the ring, because Mr. T, brother,
that's right.
There's no way with all the things we got going with us, all the Hulkamaniacs,
you better believe
you on my side, brother.
I hear you.
No way, King Kong Bundy, somebody so negative, somebody so far in the dark, is gonna take all the life,
to him, brother.
all the spirit, everything we believe in away from us.
They don't hear you. They don't hear you.
Los Angeles, you better hear me. I'm coming home. I'm going back for my pride. I'm gonna get back at King Kong Bundy. And the steel's cage that we're climbing in is gonna leave a lot of nasty scars on King Kong Bundy.
That's right.
What a showman. What a showman. And he was born in the state of Georgia. Did you know that? And Open by Chance did a nice remembrance also for Ozzy Osbourne. They were live. I was out. I was on set or something. I wasn't home. But that was really, really, really tough. Open by Chance says Romper Room echoing Fahrenheit 451 with addressing the audience so directly. Yes. And I love how she says, did you have a Superman? I had a Spider-Man day. Spider-Man and Superman represented there. But yeah, rest in peace. And do you know what Hulk Hogan's real name was? It was Terry Jean Bollea, and he was born on August 11th, 1953 in Augusta, Georgia. He passed away sadly on July 24th, 2025 at the age of 71 down in Clearwater, Florida. Big loss. He was married several times, first to Linda from 83 to 09, then Jennifer McDaniel from 2010 to 2021 in a divorce, and then to Sky Daly from 2023 until his death. And he has children, of course, Brooke and Nick. You probably saw them on the reality show that he was in. He's just a staple of WWF, Raw, World Wrestling Federation. And he began his professional wrestling career way back in 1977. What a talent. And he will be missed. So rest in peace to him and Ozzy. I love Black Sabbath. God, I mean, I put on Fistful of Radio and Retro Music Cuts a few of his songs in tribute. Mama, I'm Coming Home, and of course, Crazy Train. And I'm going to put some others in there. I I don't know what to say. And of course, he's kind of been dead for years, Ozzy, because of his ailments. And I mean, I won't say dead. That's going too far. I mean, he hasn't been himself for a long, long time. I'm glad he's out of pain, but I'm certainly sad that he's no longer on this earth. But he's immortal thanks to his gift of music to the world. So there's that. And that's something we should all be appreciative of. Same with all these great talents that have been dying and dropping. Yeah, that is a good promo, I think. And I love Mr. T, man. Mr. T. That's just showmanship, like I said. Classic Hogan on guest appearance of The Late Show with Joan Rivers. Oh, yeah. I have some of those on videotape I need to put on my channel. Great clip. Thank you. Let me see if I missed anything. Oh, about Great Escape Comics, Marietta, Georgia. Kay Moonen said at least Great Escape Comics sold to someone that actually cares about the hobby. Yes, they sold to a customer. Hopefully the store is still open. It is. Hello to Shock Theater Official. Hey to you. Nice to see you out there. Oh, let me see here. Yeah, let me see here. Well, let's get back to the comic books because that's what people want to see. Let's get back to the comic books. Fantastic Four comics. Guys, Open by Chance. I saw the movie. It was really good. There's nothing that would divide anybody in it. It's got an epic plot, like a world-ending plot. And I thought they did justice to the characters, with the exception of, and they may introduce her later, there was no Alicia Masters, Ben Grimm's blind girlfriend, and there was no fighting between the Human Torch and Johnny Storm. You know, they would bicker in the comics and have sometimes knockdown, drag out fights. That's okay. They had some funny banter that probably will come later. I'm not going to knock the movie. I give it a solid 4 stars out of 5. I'll probably give it a 4.5 when I see it a second time. But I like what they did with Silver Surfer, and it wasn't anything like some of these critics said where, oh, it's all Sue Storm. Sue Storm Richards is the leader of the Fantastic Four, and it's all girl power. It wasn't any of that, and I'm not against girl power, whatever. I'm just saying it's not any of that. It's just like the new Superman movie where they said, oh, it's got politics, it's woke. It wasn't any of that. Trust me. Because I hate that stuff, and it wasn't in there. I tell you, I wouldn't lie to you. Getting back to the covers, I left off with 150, but I'm just skipping ahead to the good covers. There's a lot of covers that aren't so great, especially when you get into the 1970s. But I will stop and pause when I see Silver Surfer, since the character's in the new movie. And there's Norrin Radd's Silver Surfer. Yeah, the Fantastic Four is out officially on Friday, July 25th. I saw it today after my dentist appointment, Lady Pop Hunter, and it was awesome. It's under 2 hours long. And I saw it at the Dolby Atmos AMC screen at the AMC Barrett Commons 24 in Kennesaw, Georgia, on the way back from my dentist, who is in Woodstock, Georgia, for my dental appointment for my clinic. Got a good checkup. Nobody cares, but I thought I'd throw that in there. But there was a girl, though, that Ben Grimm is interested in. And there is a sort of a female love interest, if you will. There wasn't much to it. Just longing looks and stuff, and she doesn't seem blind. I don't know if that's supposed to be Alicia Masters. I doubt it is, because she clearly can see. So that was the only gripe, and as well as Galactus and Silver Surfer in the cosmos speaking in English, which happens in all sorts of science fiction. Go back to Star Trek, Star Wars. Hey, that's really not a complaint. But they use the word baby, and I thought, isn't that kind of like an Earthling term, baby? Wouldn't you say infant? Or they said child. They said, anyway, I thought that was weird. They said Silver Surfer's like the baby. You know, I don't know. That's a minor nitpick. I love the movie. I just thought that was weird. All right, there's a Doctor Doom cover. I'll pause for Doctor Doom covers as well. Is that another Doctor Doom cover? I can't wait to get to the John Byrne era. That was my favorite. That's when I really got into the Fantastic Four when I was a kid in the 80s. All right, let's see. Minor Key, first appearance of this guy, the Crusader Marvel Boy. Got several copies of that. Now, this is interesting, guys and girls, in the Fantastic Four storylines. There was a time when the Thing was cured successfully by Reed Richards, and he wore a costume that Reed Richards built so he could have somewhat of super strength and the ability to protect himself in a battle. And he's fighting the Hulk in St. Louis, Missouri, on top of the arch of St. Louis, Missouri yet. Here it is. Okay, here's where he became human again, and Power Man joined the Fantastic Four to replace the Thing. So you had some brawn in the form of Luke Cage replacing the Thing, who was now cured. Replaced by Power Man. What are you, racist? Of course not. But see, there's to show you the covers of that storyline. It was kind of a cool story, as well as one coming up where the Skrulls sprayed a ray on the Fantastic Four. It makes them rapidly age. It was like that Star Trek episode, The Deadly Years, season 2 of original Star Trek, which is on Paramount Plus. But the Fantastic Four, over several months, they're rapidly aging. Oh, that was a cool storyline. And there's more Power Man. And there he is taking on the Thing. And there's Alicia falling to her blind doom. Ben, help me! Help me! And there's Gore, a giant gorilla. Kind of a dumb villain for that Fantastic Four. All right, here's a Galactus cover. He's always trying to eat our Earth. He's always trying to devour our planet. And there's Galactus taking on the High Evolutionary, whom has been brought to the MCU in live action form in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Always liked this character, the Impossible Man. He was kind of like comic relief, and he had some powers, but he was just like a child. You know, he's like a Trelane in the original Star Trek. Here, I'll show you his first appearance real quick in issue 11. And I thought, too bad he died. I thought Paul Reubens, otherwise known as Pee Wee Herman, would have been the perfect casting choice to play this character. Anyone that knows the character might agree. Let me see here. Yeah, there's his first appearance in issue 11 of the Fantastic Four, the Impossible Man. Don't miss this great offbeat collector's item issue. The Impossible Man. There's the Brute, another gorilla type character. And let me see here. Now, there were times when the artists and writers missed the deadline and they would just sneak a reprint in there and with a new cover. And that was the case with this issue. It was a reprint. Kind of cheap, you know, you're charging, not disclosing it's a reprint on the cover. I like there's another Annihilus cover. I like that one. This one has it all. You skip on ahead. Here's issue 188. It's like a living building taking them on. Look at that. All right, I'm going to shift to my another box of Fantastic Four. Let's see, yeah. The Invincible Man. Oh, God, look at Alicia. She goes, for the first time I can see. And I see you're a hideous monster, she says to the Thing. No, don't say that. Damn. I'm gonna pull this one to sell. I got like 3 copies of it. Now, this was cool. This was Dr. Doom's son. And that's issue 199 of the Fantastic Four. I don't know if you can see that. I need to take my damn name off the screen. I'm trying to figure out how to do that. Hang on a second. Still trying to learn all this. Let me just see if I can take that off. Damn. Yeah. I just have to go like that. Okay, so there's 199. I'm always a sucker for this issue, 200, double-sized issue. Whenever I see it, I'll buy it. I like the use of yellow. Anytime there's Doom, Dr. Doom versus Reed Richards, because they were college roommates. I haven't told you this. The origin was in Fantastic Four Annual 2 of Dr. Doom, and they were roommates, and he was seriously disfigured. I'm losing power on I forgot to plug in my computer like a dumbass. Hang on, folks. I can plug it in right here. They were roommates, and Dr. Von Doom was conducting an experiment with a dome over his head, and it explodes, and it severely disfigures his face. And he blamed Reed Richards. He blamed Reed Richards for the tragedy and for getting disfigured. There we go. Now I got power. God, that was crazy. But I love that cover. That's 200. God, I got 2 of these also. I got like doubles and triples. I'm going to put this one on the auction block. I don't think it's worth anything, but I got a big stack of Fantastic Fours. I've just been waiting for the right time to sell. Hold on. I'll make sure. Maybe I have a direct and a... Now, that's a newsstand. I like to have both a direct and a newsstand when I can. The newsstand edition has a UPC symbol, and the direct copy does not have a UPC symbol, barcode, if you will. Let me just see something here. Yeah, okay, that's clear to sell. Let me see here, y'all. Okay, this is a good cover, real good cover, and I got 2 of them. Good. Let me show you the newsstand first. I like the evil Fantastic Four here. Doesn't that look cool? Their wicked faces. It's not the best art, but I like what they're trying to do there. So there's my newsstand copy and my direct copy. I like to have one of each when I can. Now we're coming up on that rapid aging storyline. There is the Skrulls, the shapeshifters. I like that cover. Look at that cool space chick. Pretty neat. So here's another one I can sell. 2 copies of this, 205, part of that storyline. Got a bunch of doubles I didn't know I had. Again, there's where they're shot with that ray that makes them rapidly age. All of them are shot except for one of the team members, Johnny Storm, the Human Torch. So he is not afflicted with the rapid aging, as you'll see in a cover coming up. Real dramatic cover. But there's that one. So I can sell that one because I got 2 newsstand copies of that. See if I get any takers. And then there's Spider-Man taking on the Human Torch. First time they met was in Strange Tales Annual 2, and that was actually the 3rd appearance of Spider-Man. Yeah, because the Spider-Man first appeared Amazing Fantasy 15, and Strange Tales Annual 2 predates issue 3 of Amazing Spider-Man, an issue that introduced Dr. Octopus. It came out between issues 2 and 3, so that would be the 4th appearance of Spider-Man, rather. Yes, Amazing Fantasy 15 is the first appearance of Spider-Man. Then you had issue 1 of Amazing Spider-Man, second appearance, issue 2, which is the 3rd, and then Strange Tales Annual 2, which is the 4th, and then issue 3, which is the 5th appearance of Spider-Man. You don't think about that, but that's historically accurate in terms of the chronological order of the release of these comic books. And in Strange Tales Annual 2, as well as Amazing Spider-Man issue 8, the Human Torch and Spider-Man battled. And they also got together in Marvel Team Up issue number 1 and several other issues, like Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man, several issues of that book. And Peter Parker, Spectacular Spider-Man was the 3rd Spider-Man title after Marvel Team Up debuted in 1972, really late 71 in real time. And then Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man was the 3rd Spider-Man title that was released in 1976. I don't count Marvel Tales. That's a reprint title for Amazing Spider-Man, even though they had some new covers. I don't consider that a new Spider-Man title. The Sphinx. Now here comes a key issue with the new, ties into the new movie. I got a ton of these, and I got some in the other room too. This is issue 209. Introduced Herbie the Robot, who was featured in the movie very well too. It wasn't done stupidly. This character was introduced in the cartoon series on NBC from 1978 because the executives thought the Human Torch might cause kids to set their houses on fire when they imitate the power of Flame On. And like when the Adventures of Superman hit TV screens with George Reeves playing Clark Kent and Superman, a lot of kids did jump off their roofs, using towels or, capes. They trying to be able to fly, and they'd fall off the roof and break an arm. Well, the thought and the fear was that kids are going to set fire to their beds, their houses. And so they came up with Herbie. So there was no Human Torch at all. Herbie replaced the Human Torch in the NBC 1978 cartoon series, Saturday morning TV. And that's the first appearance in comic book form. Right around the time of the debut of the cartoon, Marv Wolfman wrote a storyline incorporating Herbie. And this also is the first issue John Byrne drew of the Fantastic Four. He had a legendary run from issue 232 to 292 later on, but this is issue 209. Let me see. And I've got these here. And I have another 2 in the other room. Here's another Galactus cover. And that's the first appearance. Oh, Terrax. Never mind. That's the next issue. There's another Herald of Galactus aside from the Silver Surfer. Galactus had several heralds, including Frankie and Nova, who became Nova. I'll show you that cover in a minute. But where the hell was Terrax? Here it is. Behold Terrax. He was a badass Herald of Galactus. He had this big old axe. And he was introduced in this issue of the Fantastic Four. Here's I got a couple copies of this. I'm not selling these because they just are so sentimental. Walt Simonson cover with the aging Fantastic Four. That death ray, the rapid aging ray is catching up with our heroes. I think that's a cool cover. And it's also a Galactus cover, as you can see, taking on the Sphinx. John Byrne cover. Look at Reed Richards aging out, trying to take on Terrax. I always call him Terra X. It's Terrax. To the death. Reminds me of Hawkman in Flash Gordon, the movie. To the death. Dive. I always thought he said die. Then look, they're dead, or are they? They aged out. I mean, poor Susan Storm Richards is practically a skeleton there. And then there was one, the Human Torch, who was not shot by the Skrull's rapid aging ray. I just love that storyline. This is the last issue with Herbie the Robot, issue 217 of the Fantastic Four. There was a twist. I won't spoil it, even though the comic book's been out since 1979. But there was definitely a twist with the Herbie Robot. He turned out to be deadly in the comic books. Stories that introduced him. So he was only in issues 209 through 217, and he wasn't in all of those. But that's where he made his comic book appearances. And hell, I got 2 of this one. I'm going to sell one. Several doubles in here. All right, here's another cover I like just because of the use of red. It's a John Byrne penciled cover with Joe Sinnott inks. But I've always loved this cover since I was a kid. Don't ask me why. It's called Reach for the Stars. They're on another space flight. By the way, in the new movie, there are snippets of an origin, but you don't really see the origin of the Fantastic Four getting their powers, and they're eradicated by cosmic rays on a space flight in a space shuttle. They show pieces of it. They'll probably flesh that out down the line, but I've always loved this cover. This one and Spectacular Spider-Man 20 with like a light villain, what's his name? Light Master. Has all these streaks of light, and I liked Fantastic Four 200 that I showed you earlier. And Amazing Spider-Man issue. What was another one from around that time? Oh, actually, it's Marvel Tales 100. Marvel Tales 100 is a double-size issue with a yellow cover, and it's a takeoff on Spider-Man issue 100. I mean, it's almost like it's like a refurbishing of Amazing Spider-Man issue 100, where it shows all the villains that he's fought up to that point in time. Our son possessed. Fantastic Four. Damn, I got 2 of these too. Might as well pull this to sell. The Samurai Destroyer. Pull that. Now we're getting to my favorites. Oh man, these came out in 1981. This is the John Byrne legendary 30-issue run starting with 232. Love that cover with Diablo. That's the villain. He was introduced in issue I think I've got it, 29 or 30 of the Fantastic Four. Oh, it's in the other box. Hang on. Let me show you his first appearance cover. I never showed that earlier. I skipped on over it. There it is. Diablo. Issue 30. Another minor gripe about the new movie. It shows Ben Grimm, the Thing, traveling down the streets of New York. And they're heroes. I mean, I'm not going to give anything away. They're heroes. But there's something called the Yancey Street Gang that would always torment Ben Grimm and the Thing. They'd throw a tomato at him or hit him on the head with an empty beer can or something. And they taunted him. And he always wanted to get at him, but they'd always disappear into the shadows before he could get his hands on him and his superpower on him. But there wasn't a scene with the Yancey Street Gang. I was looking for it, but that's okay. That's not really a spoiler, but and it's not really a complaint because that's something that could happen down the line. The Yancey Street Gang. There's a direct copy of John Byrne's first issue, and there's the newsstand copy. The difference being the barcode and that little symbol under the 50-cent price tag. That's the distributors. That's their logo, which you don't see. You see a diamond for Diamond Distributors, which went directly to comic book shops and a Spider-Man's head instead of a barcode. So let me just skip ahead. I think I got the whole run. I don't need to show you direct and newsstand, but I love this cover by John Byrne as well. Mission for a Dead Man. And you're about to see one of my all-time favorite underrated Fantastic Four issues. It's a triple-sized issue, and Stan Lee and Jack Kirby came out of retirement to do a story in the back of this triple-sized issue. I'll just show you now. Oh, shit. See, I got both. The Man with the Power. Let me tell you, this ripped off an Outer Limits episode starring Donald Pleasance long before he was Loomis in the Halloween movies. He played a guy that had powers. It was like Charlie X on Star Trek before Charlie X. And he was an adult, not a teenager, adolescent. And it was a season 1 Outer Limits episode. And John Byrne was heavily influenced by the Outer Limits when he wrote this storyline, The Man with the Power. Stan Lee himself borrowed a plot from the Outer Limits when he created the Leader, an Incredible Hulk villain for Tales to Astonish. That was based loosely on an Outer Limits episode starring David McCallum titled The Sixth Finger, in which there's an experiment from a scientist on a coal miner, and it advances accidentally his evolution to 1,000,000 years into the future. He gets this big head and like ESP powers and stuff. There's Ego, the Living Planet. That's a Thor villain that John Byrne took out of mothballs and had take on the Fantastic Four, a villain we saw in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 on the big screen in the MCU. So here's my favorite. This is the triple size issue. I have one of these in my bedroom too. I have several. There's that one. There's a direct copy. There's a newsstand, but this is the one. I love this cover by John Byrne, and it was for the 20th anniversary of the Fantastic Four. So this was released around August 8th, 1981, because that was the birth of the Marvel Comics universe. I need to have John Byrne sign that. So I just love that book. I've got, I think, 3 or 4 copies of it. Just love it. Here's a trippy one. The Eyes Have It. Really cool psychedelic cover. Now I got this one signed by John Byrne at Atlanta Fantasy Fair years ago. And there he is. He drew his own little cameo right on the cover. And look, it says, Honest Dr. Doom is not in this Marvel comic book. But he signed that one for me, and that is a direct edition. And then there's my non-signed newsstand version of that book. Oh, hell, I got 3 of those. Now we're getting into something that ties into the movie. Galactus issue, that's from 1982. And there he is. Give you an idea of the size. I'm trying to determine, when I see the movie, he must be 100 feet tall in the movie. He's between 50 and 100 feet tall, Galactus, on the big screen. Now, inside, I already showed, I took a picture of it. There is a scene where he crashes into a building. This is not giving anything away. And it's from that very issue. And it's right here. And it was depicted in the film. And I love that. There it is. It's from this issue. Bam and bam. He crashes right into that building. And I thought that was really, really cool. So this also ties into the movie, but that isn't the female Galactus from the movie. That is a character named Frankie Ray, who was a girlfriend of Johnny Storm, the Human Torch. And she becomes a Herald of Galactus that he rebrands as Nova, as in a supernova. I just love that cover. And it reminds me of something in the movie that I'm not going to talk about. Really cool. And that's a minor key issue, issue 244 of the Fantastic Four. Now here, this ties into the movie. I got a direct copy. This is the Invisible Girl. This is the issue, I believe, where she's renamed the Invisible Woman. Childhood's End. The Invisible Girl fights alone for the life of her son. And John Byrne also introduced like a short coif hairdo. And look, the C, there was a little error with the coloring. It's yellow, it's not red in Fantastic Four. I want to show you something in here I didn't take a picture of. You see Dr. Doom unmasked, and he's hideous. Told you he had this accident in college. An experiment went wrong, and he blamed Reed Richards. Oh, shit, I got a tape snag. It's kind of like, hang on, it's kind of like Lex Luthor blaming Superman for the loss of his hair in the DC universe. I think Stan Lee kind of borrowed from that. More like ripped it off. I'm just kidding. But let me show you the shot of Dr. Doom unmasked. This is like a totally mint copy. You never see him unmasked. You see silhouettes of his true face. There we go. I just love that shot. And it's actually supposed to be an android, but I always consider that to be what he really looks like under that mask of his. Isn't that cool? That's issue 246 of the Fantastic Four. A real favorite of mine, very underrated. And it's got an ad for a movie on the back, Megaforce. Two copies, of course. Again, here's Dr. Doom, larger than life, towering over everybody. A common theme on covers of the Fantastic Four. This land is mine! This land is mine! Now, how the hell did they get away with this? Man and Superman, it says on a Marvel comic book. And that's another Herald of Galactus. But isn't that cover cool? I remember at this point in time, I started a subscription to the Fantastic Four, and this came in the mail. This is my first issue. I got double-sized issue number 250 of the Fantastic Four. Always loved this cover. Negative Zone, real colorful. That's like their version of the Phantom Zone. It's just like a parallel universe, a dark universe in the Fantastic Four universe called the Negative Zone. First saw it in issue 51 of the Fantastic Four. I think I showed that cover earlier. This Man, This Monster, Ben Grimm, the Thing on the cover. Now, this is interesting. This was another innovation, a sideways comic book, issue 252 of the Fantastic Four. And it has little tattoos inside, same as Amazing Spider-Man 238 that month to introduce the Hobgoblin. Look at that, tattoos. Tattoos. Little adhesive tattoos. And there's Annihilus again. Really cool looking mask. Again, Dr. Doom, larger than life. They did that a lot on the covers. Doomsday. Always fancied this cover too, with just Dr. Doom's mask sitting there, like he's been blasted off of his face. It's smoldering. And they got new costumes when they went into the Negative Zone. Didn't mention that. See how they're kind of reversed? Before they were blue and black, and now they're like dark blue and white. Return of the Monster from the first issue of the Fantastic Four from August 8th, 1961. That's the Mole Man's creature. Little tribute cover. They did that also in West Coast Avengers after this. And here's a weird photo cover featuring the mask of Dr. Doom from 1983 or 1984. Gonna skip ahead to the last John Byrne issue, 292. And She-Hulk had joined the team. I didn't mention that. The Thing had quit, and She-Hulk, for a long time, replaced him in the Fantastic Four. And there she is. That's the final John Byrne issue of the Fantastic Four in terms of his 30-issue run between 232 and 292. I remember I was in high school when this came out. Now I'm going to skip ahead and start to wind down this little supplemental Podblast and show you some of the annuals. There's the very first annual, mint condition, 1964, featuring Spider-Man. But there's Prince Namor, the Submariner, who lusted after Susan Storm Richards. This is Annual 2, The Origin of Dr. Doom from 1964. The last one was 1963. I think I said it was 64 at 63. This is the wedding of Reed Richards and Susan Storm Richards in Fantastic Four, Annual number 3 from 1965. I already showed this, but there's the birth of Franklin Richards, their son, and there's Annihilus. Again, the first appearance of Annihilus. And they went through a period of annuals of reprints for a while, so I'll skip those. I like this giant size issue. It's very underrated. It's not worth much, but I buy it any chance I get. I've got one in my other room, my bedroom, I think, and somewhere around here. I got another copy. I've got 2 in this box. I just love that cover. Any Hulk versus Thing, I will snatch up. See, I've got a stack of comics I like to read. Not read and reread, but that's one of my books just that I haven't reread in a while. And I need to actually put it back in the box. Let me see here. Yeah, that's a good stopping point. Let me just get caught up on the chat. And let's see, there's a few comments here. Oh, careful with those tape snags. I know. Well, luckily there was no damage. I managed to open it without any damage back there. Doom's face looks like melted ice cream on that cover. Yeah, but I like the skull and the bone on the forehead. I thought that was pretty cool. I mentioned She-Hulk replacing the Thing earlier. Oh, you did? That's cool. Hello to one of my power mods, Keebler. Keebler Danger, no sugarcoating truth in Texas State. Didn't they show the 4 got their powers in the first movie? No, they show snippets of it, but they don't show the cosmic rays. I was liked in the comic book, it said tack, 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 tack. And they were like green. And they probably will do that. It's not a complaint. They just showed pieces of it. So no, they didn't show the actual flight. They showed them souping up to go to space. You just have to see it. I don't want to spoil anything. They go around it, but they don't actually show the moment when they gain their powers. Like in the comic books, it shows, the Thing transforming for the first time on the ship, on the space shuttle. And it shows the Human Torch. I'm burning up. It was real dramatic. Was looking for that in the movie, but again, I give it 4 solid stars out of 5. Hello to the producer 25. How you doing, Jay? Good to see you, man. Keebler said, or they broke with legs to be in the wheelchair. I don't know what that means. Oh, Pop Hunter was still here. I'm surprised because I went so long just blabbing. Lady Pop Hunter asks, what is going on with Robert Downey Jr. playing Dr. Doom? Any updates? He's going to be in Avengers Doomsday, and that's filming in England, and that I don't want to give anything away. I just trust they know what they're doing. They're trying to really get the MCU back on track. and he is a fan favorite. And they did a total fake out, Lady Pop Hunter, when he said, "I will never be in another Marvel movie again." Robert Downey Jr. said that in a print interview. And then about a year later, or even not even that long, maybe 6 to 9 months later, it was announced that he's going to play Dr. Doom. But there are theories. It could be another universe Doom. It could be Tony Stark, in an alternate evil universe kind of thing. I don't know. We'll see. We will see. It makes no sense why Dr. Doom is angry when Reed tried to warn him that the machine wouldn't work in the first place. Yes, but he is insane. He's mad. He's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, Victor Von Doom. Or the explosion might have affected his mind. You know what I mean? That's what I choose to believe, that, he was once normal and he was a handsome guy. He was like a prince. He was destined to be like the leader of Latvia. And he became the leader of Latvia, even in the armor. But, yeah, I think that the explosion, because it was his head that got damaged. Of course, I'm acting like this is in the Bible or like it's real or something or whatever. It's just fiction. But I choose to believe that his mind was affected in a negative way, like the Green Goblin, like these guys that have these accidents in an experiment gone wrong. Because Norman Osborn was once normal. K Moonin asked, Alicia Masters being introduced could also turn out bad if not done correctly. Yeah, they did this right. This movie is so good. It's so good, and I really enjoyed it. Let's see. I don't see where you mentioned She-Hulk. I don't doubt your word, but I somehow missed your comment, K Moon, and I apologize. Well, anyway, I want to say rest in peace to Hulk Hogan. I want to say definitely catch the new Fantastic Four movie. And I'm sorry, my show's a little lackluster. I got my teeth cleaned. I usually am pretty caffeinated on coffee or soda pop, and I'm none of that. I've just had water. I haven't even eaten all day today. I'm trying to keep my teeth nice. At the movies, I didn't get popcorn for the first time ever in my life because I didn't want to have my teeth get dirty or whatever. I'd just been to the dentist. But I really appreciate everyone tuning in. We've gone an hour and 43 minutes. I think I'm going to say goodnight. I do highly recommend the Fantastic Four movie. It's a great reboot of the MCU and their new phase. And I believe me, I know these characters inside and out, front and back. And aside from the things I mentioned, which are not huge errors, I mean, it's something that could be explored in a future movie. The lack of Alicia Masters. And there's so many characters they could have introduced, right? This wasn't about that. They did a really good job. I really like the storyline. I liked it as much as Superman 2025, and I look forward to the future installments. There's some comic books. Look at those keys. Great show. Catch you all again. Thank you, K Moonin. Well, I'm going to sign off. Let me get my outro music. Oh, and I forgot to mention happy birthday to Linda Carter. How could I forget? Linda Carter has a birthday today as we're live, and I'm going to tell you about it right fast, quick, before I say goodnight. I got to be on the set tomorrow, and I need to start winding down and get a good night's sleep. So I want to just say that Linda Carter, she was actually a beauty pageant winner, Miss World, and she looks as lovely today as she always did, I think. I think she's aged really well. Really, really well. But she was born in Phoenix, Arizona on Tuesday, July 24th, 1951. She's 74 years of age as we're live at the end of July 2025. And she was a Miss World USA 1972 pageant winner. And of course, she was Wonder Woman on television on ABC and CBS after the rejected pilot that Kathy Lee Crosby was in, where Kathy Lee Crosby portrayed Diana Prince and Wonder Woman. And ABC passed on that. And so they tried again. All right. Well, see if there's anything else I forgot to say. Look at my clips and my pics. Oh, yeah, I already showed that. Well, that was a pretty cool little stand at the movie theater, the AMC Barrett Commons 24 Cinema in Kennesaw, Georgia. Oh, and I took this shot. I didn't shoot any video. I don't break the rules. Look, I work in the industry, our friend Al Hardy, friend of the show, he loves Volkswagens. And there's a scene where the Thing picks up a Volkswagen, a green one in the 1960s. So I took that shot. And by the way, I haven't told this yet. I had a great seat, very back row in the center. And some guy, some fool, cannot read where he was sitting in someone else's seat pretty much the whole time. And then in a dramatic point of the movie, somebody shows up late, says, "Sorry, you're in my seat." And so the guy gets up, sits right next to me, and starts coughing up a storm. So I moved closer to the front of the theater. As you can see, it wasn't too close where it's like you got a crick in your neck trying to watch the damn movie. But I just got so irritated with this idiot who kept sneezing all over me and coughing up a storm. I thought he was sick. So I said, I got to move. And so luckily I found a vacant seat towards the front of the theater. But I was so mad at that guy. I didn't say anything because you can't help sneezing. You get it. I get it. You can't help being sick or whatever, but I certainly can't risk it. And what irritated me was that the guy didn't know where he was sitting, and accidents happen. And then right in this dramatic moment, he's fumbling around. He turns the bright light of his phone on, and he's arguing with the guy. "Oh, no, this is my seat." He goes, "No." And he shows him the seat, and all this commotion's going on. So distracting. I love seeing movies at the cinema, but that's the bad side. That's the flip side of going to the cinema when you have some idiot that ruins the movie for you and takes you right out of the scene. So I got to catch it again. I'll probably see it with Al Hardy on Saturday at the NCG Snellville in the Klipsch Cinema, which has superior sound. The sound in this movie will blow you away, just like it did with me, Superman. Quick shout out, Solar Slice Pizza, Marietta, Georgia. I love them. I meant to do this last time. I don't think I did. They have comic books on the walls. They have Braves memorabilia. They have pinball and classic arcade games like Galaga and Miss Pac-Man and Donkey Kong and X-Men. And they have really good New York style pizza. And you can get 2 cheese slices and a drink for less than $10. Huge slices of pizza. And I really like that operation. Solar Slice Pizza, Marietta, Georgia, across from the Piccadilly. About a mile or so south from the on Cobb Parkway from the Big Chicken, which in Marietta, Georgia, that is a KFC restaurant. Has a giant chicken with a beak with a motor in it. And by the way, Supergirl, talked about it last time with the reference. See her skirt being dark like the Superman 3 evil costume. And I'm excited about this movie, and already a little update. James Gunn on social media said he's renamed it. It's not going to be Supergirl, the Woman of Tomorrow. They're scrapping that. It's just going to be Supergirl, just like Superman had a different title, and then they changed it to just Superman. Now, look, one thing I noticed, and this is not a criticism, just an observation, the actress who plays the new Supergirl kind of looks like a boy. She's not, but she kind of looks like a boy, and her last name is Adcock. Just kidding. Family show. But I think she's going to do a good job. She looked better in live action in her cameo scene at the end of Superman 2025 than she does in print. Like in some pictures on social media, I just think she looks kind of like a boy, nothing wrong with that. I just, I'm used to the feminine Helen Slater Supergirl. Hang on. But this actress is really, I think she's going to knock it out of the park. And I also like that Melissa Benoist on the CW version of Supergirl. God dang it. Hang on a second. Millie Alcock is the new Kara Zor-El Supergirl actress. So we'll see about that. And another thing I didn't mention about Superman 2025, Miss Tessmacher. I really like the character of Miss Tessmacher in Superman the movie and in this, and she really is not a villain. She's a hero. She saved Superman, played by Chris Reeve, by yanking that kryptonite off his neck when he was surely going to drown and die. And by the way, another sad death. Oh my God, Theo from Cosby Show. That was horrible. He drowned to death in Costa Rica, and his daughter almost did too. His daughter got saved by the Coast Guard, or their version of the Coast Guard down there. That's a horrible, horrible tragedy. But let me get back on track with my story. So rest in peace to Theo. Bad week of these celebrity deaths. These are iconic people. I'll never forget the Cosby Show where Bill Cosby is teaching Theo the value of money when Theo's going to move out and get his own place, and he gets the Monopoly money out. You know what I'm talking about. That's a great moment. And that was so sad when he died. Malcolm died like that. Terrible. Before I lose my train of thought. Oh yeah, Superman. So Miss Tessmacher, she's not a villain. She just liked the bad boys, right? She went astray, but she has a good heart. She saved Superman the movie. And I'm not going to give anything away about the new movie, but she is similar in this movie. She kind of she's a heroine in the new movie, even though she's Lex Luthor's girlfriend. But this relates to Jimmy Olsen. There was a rumor that Jimmy Olsen in the new movie is gay. Nothing wrong with that, but it would explain why he's always pushing her aside. Like she's literally jumping on this guy's crotch at one moment in the movie, and he's always pushing her away or pushing her off. He's kind of using her for information in a story. And so I wonder if that was a subtle, without being overt, a subtle notion that Jimmy Olsen is gay. That's why he's not interested in Miss Tessmacher in the movie, in the new movie. I don't know. Or is it because he perceives her to be a villain or a joke? You know, she's always taking selfies, you know, I don't know. I mean, it's not stated, and you know, whatever, you know, it's just an observation on my part, something I've been meaning to talk about. And it was funny in Superman, there was an android in the Fortress of Solitude #4 that was prominent. And I thought that was like, did say this. It's kind of like a playful dig by James Gunn to the Fantastic Four movie. And the 4 is even like in the same blue, like the Fantastic Four logo, like on their uniform. So I thought that was kind of clever and funny of James Gunn. All right, let me see if there's any other comments in the chat. Oh, and also update, I got my Fat Chance card in the mail today. Danny Staten, friend of the show, mentioned he found it on his phone. We're talking about Garbage Pail Kids. I always said I always wanted a chance when they never made one. This is one from like 2004 or something, like years later after the 80s heyday of Garbage Pail Kids. But he pointed out, no, there is one. Here it is. And so I ordered it, and there it is, Fat Chance. It came today. I only got it. It only cost me $2 or something, and it's in a hard little plastic case, like for sports card collectibles right there. There it is. Fat Chance. Finally got it. Look at that thing. I love those. And there's his card. I need to mail it to him. Diaper Dan. His name's Dan. Danny Staten in South Carolina. Do you have a Garbage Pail Kid with your name? Do you have a common name? You probably do. I mean, most people have common names. Once upon a time, the name Chance, my name, Chance Bartels, was very rare. And I always look for like the little novelty license plate or like the keychain with the little license plate. Growing up, never could find it. Then came Chance the Rapper, born in 1993 in Chicago, Illinois. And I'm glad he was. I think he goes by Chancellor, Chance for short. I'm not Chancellor. I'm just Chance Christopher Bartels, Christopher being my middle name. But now, thanks to people like him that are talented, that are, you know, he's a really talented musician, and he's a great game show player too. I've seen him on Password, hosted by Kiki Palmer. He's a really sharp guy, and he's been on Celebrity Wheel of Fortune playing for charity on those 2 game shows. Very smart guy, and I like his music too. So salute to and Open by Chance. I'm just kidding. Open by Chance Toys YouTube channel. Let me see. Any comments coming in? Not a fan that they made Supergirl a drunk in the new movie. She's not a drunk. What are you talking about? Did you see it? Kay Moon, she's not a drunk at all in the new movie. She's not. Oh, Supergirl. You're right. You know what? Shame on me. Okay. I kind of like that. Difference of opinion. I always thought you were talking about Miss Tessmacher. I'm sorry. Yes. She's and like in the poster. I kind of like that. And that goes to the comics. Are you familiar with the World of Tomorrow comics? She's devastated about what's happened to her world and her life. And I think it'll be interesting because they could make her a lesbian. They could make her not liking humans. She might be repulsed by human beings. I think that's an interesting angle. They may not be a love story like in the 1984, almost did it again, Helen Slater Supergirl movie. She may not, I mean, she may care for mortals, but not want to be romantically involved. I can't wait to see what James Gunn and the new DCU and Jim Lee et al. Have in store for the character. I think it'll be cool. It's showing she's flawed. I mean, I think it's interesting. I do. And will she need to lose her powers to mate with a human being if she goes that route, like Superman did? And Superman 2, it was explained in great detail by Jor-El in the Donner cut and his mother in the theatrical cut. To be with a mortal, you must become immortal. Think about it, man. He might accidentally tear her apart. Now, she might do the same to a human, you know, and when she's drunk, can you imagine how cool that would be in a cool scene anyway, where she's just lost it? I don't know. I mean, so I kind of like the fact that she's flawed and that, you know, she needs a 12-step program. Maybe it'll help someone in the audience that struggles with alcoholism or drug abuse or whatever their vice might be, or sex addiction or something like that. I mean, we'll see. So I agree to disagree, but I don't disrespect your opinion. I apologize for jumping on you saying this test marker wasn't a drunk. You clearly stated Kara, Supergirl. So there you go. All right, now I'm going to get my outro music rolling, and we'll catch you later. Do see the Fantastic Four in theaters. Do see Superman 2025 in theaters if you're into superhero movies, or even if you just want to be entertained and have 2 hours of escapism. Both of those movies are not overly long, unlike this show. They're 2 hours. 2 hours. Superman's just over 2 hours, and Fantastic Four is just under 2 hours. Perfect length. As I always say, don't let the dragons get you. And as the late, great Mike Brooks, radio legend, always said, stay safe, everybody, and listen to fistfulofradio.com. That's my station out of Atlanta. Appreciate you. We'll see you next time on the Podblast. Here comes my friend, Mr. Roy. ROI is his last name. Louis Roy's rendition of the American Volume 2 Space Giants theme that you heard on WTBS Superstation 17 Atlanta. Good night.